and welcome back to not my lovely farm. As you can see, I am actually many thousands of blocks away from my mountain right now, and I have done a good bit of, clearly, exploration, but material collecting here. I've got all kinds of things. I now have mangrove, acacia, dark oak, and cherry saplings, so that's a huge W. Got watermelons as well, and I happen to stumble across a silk touch axe, so that's very good because I haven't harvested those mushrooms for my walls yet. And speaking of my house, I realized I didn't do a very good job of giving a tour of what everything's looking like in there after I finished it up. So once we get back, that is going to be the very first thing we do. We're making it back just about in time. Alright, it is now morning, and seeing as I just woke up out of bed, might as well start with my bedroom here on this house tour. We got all my personal belongings here, all my valuable goodies and such. And right up here is just a pretty basic storage area. I don't have anything really organized that well yet, as you can see by these two chests specifically. But you can also gain access to the roof through the damage that had occurred however many years ago. And you can just really take in the views up here. It's really nice. If you wanted to stoke the fire, I suppose you could do that. And this is a great window here, formed by the same damage that had occurred to the roof here. And here we are down at my desk, which I don't use because you can't sit down. So thanks, Mojang. But we have these nice oxidized chains. That's exactly the look that I wanted for this. And just got a little happy gas up here. And if we move to the kitchen, we can see the dining table here. And I want there to be candles here, but I don't quite have those yet. However, I do have some honeycomb that I was daring enough to take from some bees. And here is the kitchen light. It's just some glowberries here. I want there to be a lime green glass pane there so that it looks potentially a little better than just having the string there, because it's very evident without the shaders. You can hardly see it here, but anyways, we've also got like a little tea cupboard here or something like that. You just extra storage. Same thing down here. Good amount of storage. All my food could go here. And I learned that this is not optimal at all. As you can see, if I wanted to enchant that, like what are these dookie enchantments right here? So I think I'm going to be moving this to the basement. That wasn't the original plan for the basement, but I guess it is now. And I'll have to find something else to occupy this space right here. And luckily, as aforementioned, I had found this silk touch axe, so I can break these without penalty, really. And another detail that I love is just how these paintings kind of enclose the bedroom here. Just kind of helps separate it, make it feel potentially a little more roomy, as in more rooms. But if we come down here, a very steep staircase. It's pretty accurate for an old house. Here we have a pretty standard grandfather clock design. Definitely didn't make this myself. I'm pretty sure everybody and their dog makes this whenever they want a clock in their house. But here we have a new and improved blacksmithing area. And I figured I'd replace the fire with lava because it just looks cooler and it's kind of like a forge. And I have this here as a little detail. It's like the oil quench that they use to harden their blades or whatever is being smithed. And it's too bad that in Java you can't dye the water or use potions to change the look of this, because I would have totally done either of those things to make it actually look like oil and not water. But I also have this cool little thing here that I took back from the mines. And I was talking about this in the last episode. It's just the string goes and it looks like it threads under the strings of the loom. I thought that's pretty cool. And I want this to be like where my cat would go, because you can't exactly place anything on there with the position of the trapdoor. But I'm pretty certain I could get a cat up there. So whenever I get a cat, that's what's going to be there. And I'd love for there to be like a skull here or something like that, like a zombie head. And then here's my workshop. Got the basics, can't go wrong. Not much else going on here besides maybe this railing and the curtains here. But yeah, this is actually oxidizing the way I want it to. This is the state that I want it in, because it kind of blends with the granite here a little bit, but it definitely looks a lot different. And then I also have these armor stands here, just as a placeholder. I think I ought to put a plant here or something. But yeah, we went over these details at the end of the last episode. If you didn't catch that, you definitely should go and check that out. But anyways, we will be building right over here. And I'm gonna, and there I go again, falling off the mountain. But right up here is where I'm gonna build a tavern/hotel. And I got a lot of cool design things planned out for this. I've already got a good bit of this mocked up in my test world. And another thing I'd like to do in this video is get a moss farm going underneath the barn in the kind of the quote-unquote basement that doesn't exist yet. But I think I'm going to put an entrance right about here. That way it doesn't interfere with anything going on inside the barn here. But yeah, I'd say it's just about time to go ahead and get our resources together and get to work. So first things first, in material collection, I need to plant all these saplings here. But first I need to get rid of this mushroom here. Get the blocks that I need for my house. Alright, just gonna plant a couple of these guys. And then just one pale oak, I believe. I think that's all I have enough for saplings anyway. Get a couple mangrove trees going here. Get a dark oak rolling. And then just some jungle trees. And just maybe a few more. Yeah, alright, that ought to do it. Alright, now that we got that rolling, that leaves the stone materials, which I'm going to be needing deep slate, some black stone, granite, and tuff, which I'm going to need to get more tuff because I don't have really any of that. Definitely need more granite, mud bricks as well, and I might need some more black stone, but I'm certain I'm good on deep slate. So it's time to get mining. Back from the nether. Seems a lot of our trees have grown. I'm missing a spruce yet, but I'm not too worried about spruce. Just want to get some reserves going because I already have a little bit. But I believe all that leaves us with is mud bricks. Oh my god. I just stopped in the barn to get some glass bottles, and I guess there was a creeper in here. Of course there would be. Oh, well. And just like that, the barn is restored to its original glory. Almost. I can't quite remember exactly what the path looked like beforehand, but I think that should just about do it. So I just used this anvil for the first time to repair this axe, and it's already broken. Is that, like, supposed to happen? I thought it was supposed to take a while for that. Anyways, on another note, this is exactly what I want this section to look like. However, I don't have enough wax, so it's going to be turning shades of blue pretty soon. I don't know exactly how much mud bricks I'm going to need, but I know I'm going to need quite a bit here. So just going to basically make a wall of dirt and then hydrate them with these bottles of water. Alright, and I've just collected most of the wood. I'm gonna need some more dark oak because I need these, and that's just not gonna do it, I don't think. And plus, I think I'm gonna need a lot of shelves as well, so that's just gonna add to the tally of stripped dark oak. And I think I'm just gonna leave this tree here for now because I'm certain I'm alright on spruce. Okay, so here's our construction site, and I need to get to excavating a little bit here so that we can have a proper entrance. Alright, I think that should just about do it. Might have to adjust it to fit my plan here. We'll have to see about that. But you can see I've got some posts. You can barely see these ones over here, but that's going to be the general outline of the tavern. This is going to be its footprint that it's taken up. And for this entrance, I just kind of want a little bit of a side building because the actual tavern is going to be down here. And then the hotel floors, there's going to be 2 floors of hotels right up here. So it was a rainy night that I slept in, and I wake up to a rainbow in the morning. I didn't know that the shaders did that. It's very nice. Just got my base camp fully set up here now. We've got the stone chest, the wood chest, or rather barrels, and then just anything else really. Don't forget to throw the coal in there. And I'd say we're just about ready to start building. And here we are with the final details. I saved these stairs for last because it was kind of a bit of a pain to do. As you can see, I've already kind of started working on an interior. This is going to go down to something for the future. I don't know if we're going to get to that this video. As you can see in here, I've put in some cross beams, this one being particularly large, just because it's the first floor. And you can't really see it, but the way I built it, I kind of had a notch in like the top of one and the bottom of the other, so that it kind of is like structurally stable or whatever, even though that doesn't apply in this game. But I just thought it was kind of cool. And this is going to be a hallway going this way, so just to have the texture continue is just a quality of life thing for me. But I gotta get to work and excavating this out here so I can start building my floor. Oh yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Wow, I just realized I messed up. I could have used my fortune pickaxe. Although the fortune I have from my enchantment table is terrible. It's only fortune 1. Barely does anything. Alright. And I'm just going to leave this here for lighting's sake. Just dig it out when I'm building the floor. It's only 1 block. It seems I've forgotten the grass. So this is the floor design that I was thinking for the tavern. And I have this little hole sectioned out here because there is going to be something in the future here for sure. Something that ties in with this building. And that will be revealed when that will be revealed. So just be patient. Something will be coming for the basement area here eventually. Although this is the basement, so I guess the basement of the basement. But yeah, this is basically what we're going for here. Just a basic grid of stripped spruce and basically weaving the wood through each other, kind of like a basket. And I'm figuring out that kind of the easiest way to keep this pattern going, just to keep the workflow smooth, is just build out the grid beforehand and then just put your other strips of wood in there, weave them together, and it just becomes a little more simple, because then you don't got to think about, oh, where does this got to go and where does that got to go, because the grid's already lined up for you. And just like that, the floor is done. Look at how nice that looks in its entirety. It just looks very nice. Has a great effect for the tavern, I think, even though we don't have a ceiling quite yet. I think it kind of adds a bit of a mood to it and is kind of with the theme of the building. There is mangrove shutters out there, and the Swiss flags as well add those touches of red. One last thing I'm going to do here is add these iron bars, or copper bars rather, and I think I might want them to stay this orange color because it's not quite red, but it matches the red's brightness, so I think that would look pretty good. But I'll have to see what it's looking like when it's oxidized, because I know I don't have honey to preserve it right now. So the ceilings here, and I guess the floors up above, are going to be made of this jungle slab, because I think the lighter contrast of it works well with the darker colors that are going on with the tavern floor and on some of the other things on the upper floors that I have planned as well. Alright, and that does it. It's almost so dark in here that the jungle looks like spruce in a way. That's pretty freaky of an effect here. But I really like this super thick beam here, because it really just adds to like the reinforced feel. I mean, the stone here as well adds to the reinforcement of it. And I think this turned out pretty nice. I decided to go a little bold with my choice of door for the tavern, but I think it matches well with the gate here, so whatever color I decide the gate is going to be is probably what the doors are going to be, but I think they look alright like this. The orange usually is a little bit obnoxious, but this room in general is already a little bit obnoxious, so it just kind of fits, I feel like. And I love using the stairs here to kind of add a little more room to this nook here, so that the entrance to the tavern doesn't feel so cramped. Keeps this wall flat too, so if I want to put any like shelves or paintings up here, it just works out. Now before I get building, I think it will be smart to establish the staircase to actually get up to this floor. Alright, and now we have a way to get up to our first floor. So this is basically where the hotel entrance is going to be, where you can, book your room, and it's going to be a little bit of a cramped setup, as everything in here will be, but it'll work out, because weary travelers will get to have a meal and maybe a drink, and then they can go and get a hotel room. There was just a little bit of empty space here, so I decided to add kind of maybe a service closet of some kind. And now that we're done that, might as well start on getting the booth set up. And here we are. Now I think I'm going to start populating this area with tables and chairs. And one final touch for these tables would be putting these hanging signs here, because it makes a nice little leg for the table to be propped up on. Alright, and the last major thing that is left is the bar itself. Alright, and here is the grand reveal of the full bar, minus the seats, because I'm going to show you how I'm doing that. So I was waiting on these guys here, or more rather the copper block. I let the block oxidize before making the golem, because I found that it goes a lot faster. And I think these guys kind of go well as like a bit of a liquor bottle. I don't know, maybe they don't drink alcohol here. Maybe it's something else that people like, but we've got light beer and dark beer here. And it's like they got the barrels here on tap. And I like these paintings here, just adding a little more color. And I thought it would be fun to add an ominous bottle in there as kind of like a forbidden drink or something like that. But we don't have anything fancy in here, just water bottles, just to fill these up for the visual effect here. And I forgot to mention the little sink here for the bartender, and the door that doesn't lead anywhere except for outside right now. I think this might tie into something that has to do with the second basement here. See what I can do about that, considering it's literally right on the side of the mountain here. Alright, so I'm sure many people are familiar with the trick that I'm about to do, but I'm going to put some armor stands down into here and then push the blocks back into them. And I've got some leather caps here so that they look like stools. These ones I decided to put on an angle. Oh no, that might not have been as good of an idea as I thought. Alright, take two. Okay, I mean, I guess it's alright, because I guess these other ones are kind of the same way. I suppose one way I could fix that would be to push it the other way, potentially. But I think for these ones, just keeping them out of the way, it's gonna be alright. Alright, and I think that just about does it. I kind of like the detail of it being pushed in or out. It's kind of a shame that it won't stay centered. I don't really know if there's a way to keep it centered in the block once it's pushed, but I kind of like the effect this gives off, because clearly there's nobody sitting here, as there's no cup or anything. So this stool is kind of left out open for somebody to take. And same thing over here, because nobody wants this spot. Can't even place your drink down. But yeah, that is just about going to do it for the tavern, minus decorations. I don't know what I'm going to do for decorations. I think it would be cool to have something hanging here. I just don't know what. I kind of thought of a missile, but I don't know how a missile would tie into anything around this area at all. Maybe it's some lore we gotta develop, but yeah, that might be what I do, just because I can't really do a car. A car wouldn't look that good at this size of a scale. Same thing with a plane. And I think regardless of what I would try with a plane, it would just end up being too big. I'd end up taking too much space. But a missile, I think a missile would work size-wise. And if we come up here, we can see that I've taken it upon myself to get the hotel rooms all set up, ready for, well, except for the ceilings here. Just on these two, I think. Yeah, okay. Yeah, they just need decorating. And this is actually going to be a communal bathroom, because that would probably be a thing in the mountains, being that it's very remote. And the more remote you get, the less luxuries there are to be had. So I think that kind of ties in with lore here. And these are just kind of the standard rooms, because I'm thinking of having double beds in here with the size of these rooms that can fit 2 people. And then we can see this is a little different up here. These are the size of the bathroom ones, but I'm just going to have these be like single person rooms. But this is going to be the master suite. And I have no clue what I'm doing with this yet, but it seems we already have a tenant, or a guest rather. Alright, and now we have our complete hotel rooms. Each one of these is just slightly different than the other. So I got like a different flower. I mean, I know this isn't necessarily a flower. This is kind of like a sapling in a way. But they also have a different tree sapling over in the big pot in the corner over here. And as well as a different painting. Although the furniture is all the same. And these are different colors just because they don't have wax. But I think once I do have wax, I want to go with this color right here. And we've also got the little bathroom here. Same deal with the copper here. I want it to be that first stage of weathering because it just blends in nicer. This just looks a little obnoxious. But yeah, we've got a nice painting for you to look at when you're doing your business, and then you can flush. And there's also this little flower here that's drooping because it stinks so bad, but at least we have the cherry blossom here to have a bit of freshening going on. And we've also just got the little hand towel here. It does stick into the roof or the ceiling in the tavern, but if you're not looking for it, you really don't see it. Like if we just walk in through here, you can see my little area where I've been living. But did you catch that glimpse there? Yeah. It's just hidden behind this beam a little well, so I figured I'd let it slide. And if we're up here on this story, we can go up here, where I, right now, actually, am going to decide to build my enchantment station. Alright, and there we've got it. Yep, that is what I want to see. I could not get level 30 enchantments in my house because I had not only carpets, but the enchantment table was in the corner here. I guess there needs to be unobstructed air blocks in between the enchantment table here. Anyways, now that we got that out of the way, here we have the singlet rooms. Very simple. Nothing's different except for the flower in these rooms. And you get like a nice little bookshelf. I didn't put any books in there yet, but to come. And there's also little shelves here just for a bit of extra storage aside from the barrel. And here we have the master suite, which I accidentally broke one of these, and I guess they are just like normal bookshelves where you don't get them back, so that's nice. But we've also got this custom flower over here, and I learned this trick from a YouTuber named Sino. Very good videos, I highly recommend. And I figured I'd throw a rose bush in here just to kind of add a little more red, because as you can see, the theme up here is red. And a happy guest was the best thing that I could really find to act like a stool here, because otherwise it would either be too cramped with a stair block. You could like hardly move through here, and I couldn't do the leather cap armor stand trick because I couldn't get it low enough. But I've also just got this little copper golem here, little action figure you could say, and then just a nice wardrobe. I wanted there to be spruce doors here, but you can't place them on sign blocks. There has to be a full block here, and I just didn't like the look of that, so I just kept it. open face here. And I think it looks alright. But yeah, the bed here is also pretty nice. Same headboard and footboard as the standard rooms on the first floor, except we got a nice little, I don't know, just a side bit to it. I think it makes it look a little more complete as compared to the ones downstairs. Alright, now that everything is done on the inside and outside of the hotel, I got all the trails connected going up to the main entrance there to the tavern. And I've also added some little trees here because I wanted there to be a custom one there just for like the thumbnail and the pictures I take and whatnot. But this episode has taken longer than I thought to make. I wasn't recording as frequently as I was for the past 2 episodes, and I think I'm just going to continue to roll with that and try to put out a more quality video less frequently than put out more videos more frequently and potentially have them not be really all that good. But yeah, with all that being said, I think next episode I'm going to work on a bee farm and maybe even get to that moss farm in the basement of the barn over there. I'm not entirely too strapped for moss right now, so that's kind of going to be on the back burner for now. But I do need quite a bit of wax to cover up all my copper stuff so that they don't look blue. But if you enjoyed this video, be sure to let YouTube know and give it a like, and stay tuned for the next episode. Roll the super cool cinematic outro. Bye.